Welcome to News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery.
Welcome to the West Texas View. I'm Johnny Lou Avery, and my guest again this week is Brian Whisenhunt. He's the new executive director for the Museum of the Southwest. He and one of the board members are here last week, but we still had so much that we wanted to talk about on the museum, and particularly about his vision for the future and what most impressed him about our museum. So I asked Brian to come back, and Brian, it's a real pleasure to have you back. And just for some of our new viewers that are here that weren't here last week, talk a little bit about your background.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me back.
Yeah.
I'm originally from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and that's where I was born and raised. And I went to the University of Oklahoma, and I have a master's degree and undergraduate degree in art history. And I started working in museums as a museum educator at the Wichita Art Museum in Kansas. From there, I was hired as the first manager of public programs at the Blanton Museum of Art when they were in the process of building and reopening the museum there in Austin. And then I was hired as the 10th executive director of the Soap Art Museum in Indiana, and I was there for 3 years and had a great time with the collection and people in that community before I found out about the opportunity here in Midland, and was very excited to come and be the executive director of the Museum of the Southwest.
And the nice thing about your credentials is, first of all, you've had some very prestigious experiences, museums that are well known nation and worldwide, but also the fact that you have been in such a variety of places and done such a variety of duties within the museum world is impressive.
Thank you.
But on top of all of those credentials, your family was originally from the Pecos area, so you're a good old West Texas
Right,
boy
I have
at
some
heart.
West Texas roots.
Even though we had to send you off to Oklahoma. And
my mother was, her family moved to Pecos when she was a child, and so that's where she was raised. And my grandfather had some business and farming interests in Pecos for about 25 years. And I don't have any family there now, but it's still a very important place for my family as far as our roots and the part of our family story.
So being out in the West Texas area didn't scare you?
Not at all. I think some people, some of my friends, they said, well, you're applying for a job where? And I was like, Midland, Texas. And when I was a child, we spent a lot of family vacations doing long trips through West Texas. And we went to Lubbock to visit friends. We went, we went to Pecos and El Paso, and so this was places that I went and enjoyed and have really fond memories when I was a kid traveling with my family.
And the other thing that I think, as a native West Texan, I think that surprises our guests that come from wherever is they'll say, I didn't realize that West Texas had so much heritage, so much sophistication in the arts, so much culture. And I'll say, well, what did you think? And, well, I don't know. I just thought it was just all and desert and gas and that kind of thing.
No, there's so much out here. I think besides the museum, there are so many cultural organizations. There's so much community support for them. And you can really tell that they're important to the lives and the community because of the support that they get. So.
And I think the rugged individualism shows up in our museums too, because there's a real personal pride as well as a corporate pride or a community pride. And that is part of what has made this, it's people like Bill Blakemore that said we need a planetarium, and I'm willing to help get that started, or to be the main focus to get it started. And so it was individuals that came up with so many of these ideas, and not just groups or kind of the community demand. And so when you came into the museum, whether it was to interview, and I know that they had a lot of applicants for this job, so it was a real plum assignment. And when you came into it, though, what impressed you the most? And we probably will just have time to start this list before you.
Well, I would say in the most simple terms, it's the diversity of what's happening there. So I think that's kind of the most basic answer, and I can talk more about that.
Yes. And because a lot of people don't know that the history of it was that it started out in the Turner Mansion, and just kind of kept adding pieces that makes it today a wonderfully diversified encompassing project.
Absolutely. I think it's a campus of organizations, and there's the Public Sculpture Collection. There is the Historic Home that's a part of our story and a part of the experience that you get when you come to the museum. There is the Art Museum, the Children's Museum, the Planetarium. So there's a real diversity of experiences, diversity of opportunities for the community that you can get all at one place. So
And it appeals to everybody. I mean, a family comes through, and every member of that family has something that particularly touches their heart.
I think so.
But one of your experiences was in a museum that also was in a palatial estate situation. So you're familiar with how important that house is to the center of that museum, and how important it is to preserve the integrity of that building. And so talk a little bit about that.
Well, growing up in Tulsa, Philbrook, which was the home of the Phillips family before it became a museum, was my grounding museum experience as a child. And it's a beautiful home, just like the Turner Mansion, and that's a part of the experience that you get when you go there. And
well, tell a little bit about the Turner Mansion for people that haven't seen it.
Well, I think that I certainly would invite them to come by and see it if they haven't, but much of the layout and the spaces and the rooms is the same as it was when the family lived there. There are some changes that have been made to provide some gallery space and to open up a few walls, but the majority of the spaces are the same, and you can see some really wonderful details. Recently, we opened a powder room that's on the first floor under the stairs that really hadn't been seen or used lately. And it's on view, so the door is open. You can see the wonderful stars that are set into the floor. So it's a very Texas-themed home. I think that there are just some great details you can see in the breakfast room, and just, I don't know, it's a really beautiful space. So I'm really enjoying exploring it and learning about it and seeing all of the thought and consideration that was given by the architect and the family when they built it.
And I think that's the other thing that people come through there and they say, wow, and how old is this house? And they see all of the special features that it had. And
it's
and
amazing.
They're just amazed.
It's really amazing. There's a few spaces that you can't see easily on the second floor, such as some of the restrooms and the dressing rooms, but those are just unbelievable as far as how they were appointed.
One of the things that a lot of people don't know is that you rent this out for receptions and weddings. Am I correct?
We do. We have a couple of different opportunities and spaces. I think that we have the ability for larger groups or smaller groups to hold an event or reception.
On that note, we're going to have to take a break, but we'll be back in just a minute. Great.
Stay tuned. West Texas View will be right back.